Okay, so here we're going to have a look at linear relationships in a further sense, and hopefully help us to understand a bit more about all the things to do with linear relationships. And we're going to look at it by a textbook question. This is from exercise 8D. A phone company charges a monthly service fee plus the cost of calls. The graph gives the total monthly charge, C dollars, for making N calls. This includes the service fee. So here's the graph, and I'm going to put up some of the things that I saw are the same and some things that are different from the graphs that we're used to. Firstly, this is a linear relationship, and it's indicated by the red straight line. Every time you have a straight line, it's a linear relationship. The next thing is the horizontal axis is labelled as N, and previously we've known it as a x-axis, and the vertical axis is c-axis this time, C for cost, and instead of the y-axis. The gradient for this red line is positive, and we know that because the line goes from low to high, slopes up from left to right. Finally, the independent variable is always on the horizontal axis, so that's our N, the number of calls. And the dependent variable is the C, the cost, because the cost depends on the number of calls made. So next bit is the first part of the question. What is the monthly service fee? And if we have a look at the graph, that is where the graph lies when there are no calls. And if we have a look carefully at 0, at the bottom left-hand corner, on the c-axis, it is at 15, and that is the monthly service fee. It's also the point where the line crosses or touches the c-axis. So the monthly service fee is $15, also known as the initial cost. Next, the charge for 20 calls per month. And this is now we have to look at the n-axis first for the number of calls. 20 in this case, and we find 20 on the graph down the x-axis, the n-axis, sorry, and follow that line up to where it touches the red line, and then go left horizontally. We see that the cost is at 25. So C is 25, so that's the charge for 20 calls. Thirdly, number of calls for a $30 charge. This time we start with the C axis, the charge, and find where 30 is, and follow that across horizontally. And this time I've got a black dot. I follow that down, and it's in between the 20 and 40 on the number of calls exactly, so that's 30 calls. 30 calls for $30. C is 30, N is 30. The last part is the most involved part, the equation of the line in terms of C and N. Firstly, the general form of the equation is y equals mx plus b. But now we've got a C for cost instead of y, so it begins C equals, then the gradient m times x, but we haven't got x now, we've got n for the number of calls. So the equation becomes C equals mn plus b. Firstly, the gradient m, and we do that, calculate that by rise over run, or in other words, how much the cost changes compared to how much the number of calls change. And we can find any 2 points on this line and use that, but we've already got 2 points, so we use those. For the answers for B and C, we've got 2 points. A point for N and C for question part B, where N is 20 and C is 25, and for part C, where C is 30 and N is 30. So we use those. and we go the difference in the C. So in question part C, C is 30, and in part B, C is 25. So I go 30 minus 25 over the change in N from part C, 30, to part B, 25, 20, 30 minus 20. That equals 5 over 10, or 0.5. So that's our gradient, 0.5. Then B is where the line, as I said, touches the C-axis, or C-intercept. And that's actually the same as the service fee, which is $15. So we can use all that information to create the equation C equals 0.5n plus 15. And that's the answer to the last part.